EastEnders teases unexpected comeback as messy romance storyline heats up. Next week in EastEnders, Callum Highway battles a wave of jealousy when he drops by the Albert and spots Johnny Carter out on a date. Johnny returns from his cruise holiday earlier than expected, and Callum is thrilled to see him again. But that happiness quickly fades when he discovers Johnny enjoying a night out with someone else. Although Callum has been insisting their fling is casual, his reaction proves his emotions may run deeper as envy starts to take over. Johnny's back in Walford without his mum Linda, and he wastes no time jumping straight back into dating, reveals an insider from Albert Square. After Johnny sent him flirty photos from his singles cruise, Callum believed there might be something serious between them. But Johnny clearly still views himself as unattached. Not that Callum can say much. He's technically still married to Ben, who's behind bars. Callum does manage to push his mixed feelings aside, and before long, he and Johnny are catching up after being apart for weeks. Their bond strengthens again, with Callum especially thankful when Johnny supports him through a tricky moment with Lexi. Since Ben's imprisonment, Callum's been struggling with Lexi, so he's relieved to lean on Johnny for guidance, our source adds. With more time spent together, Callum may finally be pushed to ask Johnny where their relationship really stands. Either way, it's obvious Callum is starting to move forward and leaving his husband in the past. We already know Ben will briefly reappear later this year in some dramatic funeral episodes, but right now Callum's focus seems to be elsewhere. Could Callum's jealousy be proof that he's falling for Johnny? And just how far will their romance go? And what happens if the truth comes out? EastEnders shock as Oscar Branning's dark secret comes to light before Max's dramatic comeback. In tonight's EastEnders, the square was full of celebration, with Yolande and Patrick enjoying their hen and stag parties, but the night soon turned disastrous. Oscar ended up in major trouble, setting the stage for his dad Max's big return later this year. Yolande headed to Harry's barn with her friends, but their fun was cut short thanks to Julie's chicken, David Peckham. Meanwhile, Patrick's stag do was far worse, spiraling when a clash between Howie and Oscar left Patrick suffering an anxiety attack. Viewers will remember that Oscar previously mugged and assaulted Patrick in an attempt to clear his debts to dangerous criminals. Racked with guilt, he tried to make amends by befriending Patrick and Yolande, spending time playing dominoes with them. Patrick's stag invitation followed, though it left Howie furious. Howie had been blackmailing Oscar, knowing he was behind the attack, but during the party, Oscar slipped up and exposed his secret in front of his uncle, Detective Inspector Jack Branning. As the argument heated up in the hallway, Howie snapped, "How can you sit in there with him after what you did?" Oscar hit back, says the man lying to his whole family. Howie shouted in rage, "What do you know about family? You're just a spoiled thug." Moments later, the pair were brawling until Jack stepped in to stop them. Later, Jack confided in Lauren, who admitted Oscar had been so paranoid he slept with a knife and once lashed out at Peter, thinking he was under attack. Armed with this, Jack confronted Oscar in the park, and Oscar, thinking Lauren had exposed everything, blurted out a confession. "I didn't know Patrick was going to be home," Oscar pleaded. Jack shot back, "I'm talking about what you did to Peter, so it was you who hurt Patrick." The episode ended on this tense cliffhanger, with Jack facing the decision of whether to turn in his own nephew. The Branning chaos comes just before Jake Wood makes his long-awaited return as Max Branning. The actor confirmed he'll be back briefly in the autumn, before making a permanent return later this year. "I'm thrilled to be coming back to Walford," Wood shared. "Max has so many unresolved storylines and relationships, so there's bound to be plenty of drama. If history is anything to go by, more chaos is on the horizon." Will Max's return help put his family back together, or tear them apart for good? EastEnders, Nigel's heartfelt plea to Phil after chaotic chase for runaway rooster. Although they've only been in Walford for a few days, David the cockerel and his feathered companions have already stirred up quite a commotion among the neighbours. Their presence, initially seen as a bit of fun, has quickly turned into a source of chaos. In tonight's episode, David took full advantage of a moment of freedom when Nigel Bates accidentally left the coop unlocked after cleaning it. The adventurous bird immediately seized the opportunity to explore the square, strutting confidently into unfamiliar territory. Phil Mitchell was completely taken aback when he realized that David had disappeared. His reaction was swift and sharp, as he immediately warned Julie Bates, cautioning her that her cherished pet better not be found roaming inside the house. It quickly became clear that David had indeed made a daring escape. Julie and Lexi Pierce immediately sprang into action, determined to track down the runaway rooster before it got into any serious trouble. Their urgency reflected how much the bird meant to Julie, and how quickly a fun escapade could turn into a stressful mission. Phil, ever the realist, insisted the search was probably hopeless. But Nigel, showing a quiet determination, encouraged them to continue. He reminded everyone that failing to rescue David would break Julie's heart, insisting that even a small chance to bring him home safely was worth the effort. Hours passed, yet David remained elusive. Phil's patience began to wear thin, frustrated by the seeming futility of the search. Nigel, however, remained steadfast, telling Phil he could leave if he wished, but making it clear that he himself would not give up until David was safely back in the coop. At a moment when all hope seemed lost, Julie suggested they might have to accept that David was gone for good. Nigel, feeling deeply ineffective, admitted how useless he felt, confessing that if he couldn't even be trusted to secure the chicken coop, there wasn't much else he could do around the house. The moment highlighted his vulnerability, as well as his desire to contribute meaningfully to those he loved. Julie, quick to comfort him, reassured Nigel and assigned him the task of choosing the films they would watch that evening. The small act of responsibility gave him a sense of purpose, and his mood lifted slightly as he regained some confidence in his role at home. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, a miracle happened. Lexi spotted David heading toward Harry's barn, where Yolandi Truman's lively hen party was in full swing. The cheeky cockerel appeared to think he belonged among the hens, strutting around confidently. His unexpected arrival caused chaos in the underground bar, with partygoers startled and scrambling to avoid him. Julie and Nigel rushed to round him up, but not before Nicola Mitchell, the bar's owner, erupted in fury at the disruption. Despite the chaos, the team eventually managed to get David safely back into his coop, restoring a sense of calm and relief to everyone involved. Back at home, Julie busied herself playing with Lexi, ensuring the child was entertained and happy, while Nigel took a moment for a private conversation with Phil. It's no secret that Phil and Julie often clash, especially regarding their very different approaches to handling Nigel's young-onset dementia. Their arguments, although well-intentioned, frequently create tension in the household. Tonight, however, Nigel opened up to Phil in an unexpectedly heartfelt moment. He praised Julie for her calm and understanding response to the unlocked coop, noting that she had not been angry or upset, but had handled the situation with kindness and patience. He expressed his appreciation for Phil's support, but also emphasized how much he needed Julie's presence, pointing out that her care and understanding were essential to his well-being. As the episode drew to a close, viewers were left pondering whether Phil would finally recognize the importance of setting aside his differences with Julie for Nigel's sake. Could this small but significant moment mark the beginning of greater cooperation and understanding between them, for the good of someone they both care about deeply? EastEnders airs on Mondays, Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. on BBC One.